All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Modern Math Teacher Podcast. I'm your host, Kristen Moore. And today I'm really excited to bring Rae Hughart, educator, speaker, and founder of Teachers Deserve It. She's going to be on the show talking to us today. And Rae is really passionate about helping teachers reclaim their time, avoid burnout, and really make learning more engaging and relevant for our students. Things that we know we always talk about here on the Modern Math Teacher Podcast. So, she specializes in helping us do that without adding extra stress. And gosh knows that we are already stressed enough. You guys may even recognize her voice if you listen all the way to the end. She's the voice behind our Teach Better message at the end of each episode. So, Rae, hey, thanks so much for meeting up with me today. I'm so excited to have you here with us. Welcome to the podcast.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm so stoked to be here. And I love the shout out to Teach Better. We love the Teach Better team. And while I'm no longer with them, I love hearing that their network is doing well and supporting them as a fangirl.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Rae, I'm really excited for your new adventure. For those of us who may not be familiar with your work, can you share a little bit about yourself and what led you to start Teachers Deserve It?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, friends. My name's Rae Hughart. By the way, Kristen, love the introduction. It was like so fantastic. I love kind of like being able to share the teachers deserve it message. And my actual background is in middle school math. I was a mean old math teacher at the middle
Yes.
level. I love it. I actually taught science and writing as well, but math was like what I always taught. It was my favorite thing to go to. Still my favorite place to go back to. And it's such a ball. And kind of during that time, I connected up with what you guys know as the Teach Better team. I was the face of that company for about 10 years and kind of allowed educators to find their community and focus on mastery learning. And it was a ball. I learned a ton and something I really developed a passion for after writing my second book, which was called Teachers Deserve It, was trying to find sustainable ways to keep educators in education while also making the system better. And a big focus of that was helping educators be more efficient and effective. So rather than overhauling our practices, which I don't know about you, but I mean, as an educator, I think that only happens maybe once, if at all, in your teaching career.
Oh, yeah.
Our big focus for Teachers Deserve It is all about ensuring that you have small little things that will save you 30 seconds here, 1 minute here, 5 minutes here. And hopefully that adds up to a little bit of you time you get at the end of your day, or an opportunity to get drinks with your best friends,
Oh
or
my gosh.
maybe even, I don't know, maybe even making it home for bedtime, right? Like we just are trying to save little moments, make it manageable, and ensure that this field continues to be sustainable one educator at a time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that. And there are so many different things that are like stealing our time during the day. And so I love that you're like multi passionate and that you are exploring all different ways that we can save ourselves time, whether it's time during the workday or time after the workday, so that we can have that time back for ourselves and our families. So I'd love to just kind of pick your brain on like all the things, right? Because our teachers all deserve it. Yes. And all my teachers have different needs. So I know that our big focus is reclaiming their time. So what do you see as some of just the biggest challenges that teachers are facing when it comes to managing their workload?
Oh my gosh, this is actually one of my favorite topics, which is why it was our first bundle that we released in our Teachers Deserve It Learning Hub. It includes 5 full courses on time saving in
Wow.
the classroom. And this is everything from like time saving to ensure that you like conference with students efficiently and effectively to, designing your lessons so that you can save a little bit more time. And this, I mean, it goes through every single thing you could possibly imagine, but one of my favorites that we talked about was that you can actually save 33% of your time in a student teacher conference just by standing up versus sitting down.
What?
I know. And that's what I talk about in terms of efficient, effective practices. No teacher is really going to say that they want to spend what could total 5+ minutes a day just because they want to sit down while talking to students. If educators knew that standing up, you could save a minute here, a minute there, most educators would be like, okay, I don't care. I'll stand up. I'm doing the
Yeah.
exact same thing I always do. So it's more about getting this type of information into teachers' hands. It's not things that cause you to overhaul your teaching practice, but it's little tips
Yeah.
and tricks that can make an enormous impact when they add up.
Right. And I love that. And if you're standing up, that means you're walking around, you're getting the feel for your classroom. And bonus, my friends, you are getting your steps in. And we all need to get our steps in, right? Maybe
Well,
grab a water bottle.
Yeah, it's good for our students too, because we know that when students sit down, it's like whoosh, all the energy goes out of them and it takes a few minutes to transition. So, standing can be an easy way to save minutes in your day. And depending on how often you're student conferencing, this could be a huge time saver. Or for an educator that's only, I don't know, student conferencing once a month, that's still a minute, right? That's still a few seconds right there.
Right?
33% adds up. So, that there's so many different tips and tricks, and we could literally talk about this till we're blue in the face, but that was one that I was really excited to highlight in the course, because we're not asking teachers to do anything that is truly different, just simply standing at a counter or standing at a desk.
Right? That's amazing. I know. I think to my full classes of like 35 students, and we just launched a project today. I had to do check-ins with all 35 of them. And man, that would have been so great. If I had known that just an hour ago, literally, I could
Yes.
have stood and had those conversations with those students. Okay, so I'm gonna know that before the next check-in. I love that.
and
Okay. Yeah.
And just to know, because so many teachers like have students with exactly what the lesson you're doing, right? You have students like come to your desk to do that quick check-in. You don't have to change anything except for you can stand up and have the student standing up. The desk can still be super low. You can still pick
Yeah.
things up as needed, or you could be really fancy and get like a standing desk, but not
Oh.
even needed. It has nothing to do with the furniture. It's just your feet and their feet.
That's amazing. Okay, so that is definitely a super fast time saver that we can have. You said that there's like 5 different courses in there. What's one other like super simple strategy that our listeners could implement today to reduce like burnout and maybe just set some better boundaries?
Super easy. And I know that so many of you have heard me talk about this, but again, it's one of those tips and tricks that if one of you haven't heard it, it's worth it because it will save you so much time. Set up a vacation mode on your email all the time,
Ooh.
even though you're not on vacation, that has an automatic reply to anyone who emails you that shares some key few things. One is, hey, I got your email. You're acknowledging that you got the email. You're acknowledging when you're going to reply back. Hey, I'm going to reply back as soon as possible. And then you can link things that are so common for them to need. So maybe a parent's emailing you. Why not automatically give them the links to, are you worried about your student's grade? Here's the grade book. Are you looking
Ah,
for typical classroom homework page? Here's the link. Are you interested in how to call out an absence? Here's the phone number. And just create a bank. Just create a list of bullet points. If they read it, great. If they don't, they don't. But it allows you to then know that you acknowledge that you got their email, and you're
yeah.
still going to reply, but they might actually solve their problem before you even get a chance to reply, which feels good.
That does feel amazing, and I love that. I am such a big believer in, like, setting that firm email boundary. Like, I do not have it on my phone anymore. I'm like, "Nope, I leave work at work, and I am going to get to it when I can." But that's such a simple hack. I know a lot of us are already doing that when it's, like, winter break or spring break, but honestly, you're right. How simple is that to just have a stock message, keep it up in, like, a Google Doc, right? And then you just have that on as your typical vacation responder. I love that. That's amazing, right?
I love it. You can always add to it. You can take it away. It can be seasonal. So many of what I've heard educators add is helpful links for their classroom, helpful links for the building, book lists of what they could be
Yeah.
reading, goals for this semester. I mean, you can change this out literally as quickly as 2 different clicks. But what I really appreciate is that an educator is still most likely going to respond to these emails. But first
Yeah.
off, the most common things are linked for you, so it's really easy access. And second of all, a parent is going to feel good that you're so prepared that it also sets a
Right.
tone for saying, I know and I'm here, but I'm also teaching. So you're able to set those
Yeah.
expectations without it feeling aggressive.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Such a great simple fix. So I hope everybody goes and like drafts one up, collaborate with, if you've got somebody that you are a teaching partner with, collaborate on what are those FAQs, grab those links, make that super simple and doable. Okay, I love that. 2 quick things we can do. We can stand up and talk to our students. We can set that vacation mode, and both of those things are going to save us time and energy. Amazing.
And you
Um
can
yeah.
literally do them today or tomorrow. Like this should not be difficult. Make it short and sweet, friends. You don't have a lot of time, save your time.
Yeah, right? Okay, so 2 actionable tips. I love it. Now, I know that there's like all these courses, all sorts of PD, and just in general, like PD often can feel like it's just another overwhelming task on a teacher's plate. I know I just had a PD session all day on Monday, right? So I love that you believe in like bite-sized learning and networking. How do you think educators can make PD work for them instead of against them?
Yeah, I think the struggle with PD is we're not specific. We want to be able
Mhm.
to like use this massive paintbrush and give professional development to a full school that has all different types of educators who teach all different things, work with all different students. Even if you just gave professional development to the entire 7th grade teaching staff, it's still too broad of a stroke. So, what we really love and what we believe is that professional development has to be super personalized, which means it needs to have very clear objectives. And we
Right.
know that when we teach, we would never teach students the way we teach instruction for educators.
Oh,
And,
no.
it's so true, right? How many of us sat in PD on Monday and we were like, this is interesting, but now you're like giving me homework and I didn't have time to do anything I actually needed to do.
Right? Oh my gosh. Yeah, and teachers are just the worst students if we're being given a PD in that format. We're like, side chatting with our friends, we're checking our email on our phones or, really more it's like Facebook, Instagram, all the things. You're
I will
totally right.
say, I will say though, I am totally the person, okay? Kristen, 100 times I've said teachers are the worst students. But
Yeah.
as I reflect, truly, I have never been a bad student when the content really involved me and interested me. I was only the bad student when it had to do with like how to use the grade book I've been using for 6 years and I don't need
Oh.
PD on it.
Right? Yes. You're right. So it's totally got to be like just like we want our lessons to be really tailored to our students' interests as much as, humanly possible. I can't get all 35 at one time, right? But we really want our PD to be tailored to what our teachers need and what's going to make the biggest impact for them. So like what is one innovative PD format or experience that you've seen that you think really makes a difference for teachers?
Yeah, so something that we have really focused on, which I know administrators can facilitate in their building, so I am just going to be the biggest advocate, is we have our entire learning hub. It's full of courses. We just launched 8 new courses this month alone.
Wow.
And they're all focused on teeny, teeny, tiny concepts. The concept of like the automated email in and of itself is a course, and it only focuses on automating your email in like 6 different ways. So you know exactly what you're going to get from it.
Yeah.
You get this massive download with a cajillion templates, so you don't have to think, and it's just nice. So, professional development then should be exactly what we do with our students when we're speaking one on one or in small groups. It should be feedback focused. So, everything for us is we'll go into your school, we'll do an audit, we'll be able to look at what staff needs so we can personalize their learning journey. But I don't need to necessarily be standing there to speak at your teachers. They can go grab the content. You should give them time to plan and engage with the content. And
Oh
then
yeah.
let's do some follow up discussions. Let's do some in classroom observations to like personalize this for the teacher even further. Let's have some like one on one or small group coaching and just brainstorm up the wazoo on how we can make this experience even better. That to me is what professional development is about. It should be talking, it should be laughing, and it should be an opportunity for teachers to accomplish what's on their to do list. If I'm doing professional development that does not have something to do with what's on a teacher's to do list, they should be allowed to be dismissed. That's my opinion.
Oh my gosh. Preach it, Ray. You are talking to the right girl here. I am all about like it's got to be relevant to the people in your room, whether that is your students or it is your staff members. I love that you've got it that way. You're right. Going in and like seeing what are some of the bigger issues and then pointing people in the right direction for these like micro learnings that are going to be way more impactful for them. That just seems like such a more beneficial approach to professional development than the sit and get that they're all telling us not to do in our classroom, but they're doing for us as teachers.
And the other element is sometimes educators just aren't in a space to be learners.
Yeah.
I know I've experienced that truly even today. I'm super swamped with my own personal to-do list today. I can admit it. And I have meetings today, 2 specifically, maybe 3, but I have meetings with people that want to like dream and brainstorm. And I am not in a place to do that. Every time
Oh,
I've been
no.
talking to these people in a meeting, they are amazing. This has nothing to do with them, but I'm overwhelmed. I'm like, I have stuff I have to do. I don't have time to like kind of like goof off and dream and create some great plan that isn't going to happen for 6 months. Like I have
Right.
stuff to finish today. And teachers have been there. So what I love is that we also offer courses that have very little required from the teacher. It's more about concepts that they can choose to like concepts and actions they can choose to take that are individual, but then have a long-term effect.
Mm.
And it still gets them professional development credit. It still enhances their life. It still saves them time, but it doesn't require a lot of capacity from them. A really easy course that's coming out next month dealing with this is Teachers Deserve Respect. This is an
Ooh.
entire bundle of all different things teachers can do to gain respect. One of the courses is on simply hanging your certifications in your classroom. Like, that's it.
Oh,
Like, how many administrators do you go in and they have their degrees, their doctorates
yeah.
on the office wall, and yet no teacher I've ever been in my entire over a decade in this field ever has their master's or undergraduate degree hanging on their wall? None.
Right? I mean, I've got mine in my office at home, not this office, the other part of my
See?
office,
But
but you're
at
right.
home, at
Right? Why
home.
would I not go show that off for my students? Okay.
And so many of our educators are Google certified. They've done
Yeah.
ISTE certifications. They've done courses in the Teachers Deserve It Learning Hub. Those should be framed and up in your classroom. Why? Not to gloat, not to talk about how smart you are, but when a parent walks into your classroom and wants to be come into the classroom and be encompassed with the full culture of the classroom, why would you not celebrate the fact that most of you listening have to do 180 professional development hours every 4 years and
Yep.
your parents have no idea?
Oh my gosh, you're so right. You're so right. That would be such a great, easy way. And as you guys are thinking about like printing those out, you can also, a lot of you get little micro badges you can add to
Yeah.
your email, right?
Yeah.
I know like when I got Schoology certified, I got a cute little thing and I popped it in there. And now people are like, oh, I have a question about Schoology. Can you answer that? And I was like, yes, actually, I can. I
Yeah.
love that. Just kind of, sharing what you've accomplished, not in a show offy way, right? But in a way that's like, hey, I know this. I should be respected for that. That's
And what a
incredible.
and what a beautiful way to celebrate your students who are going to be looking around the room during moments of a brain break and be like, "Oh, wow, my teacher did something that is very highly accomplished and celebrated. Maybe I'll ask them about it. Maybe I want to know what college is like. Maybe I want to know what it's like to get a
Yeah.
certificate." So we're actually like pushing learning on our students by showing that we're learners in this way. And think about it, you taking a course about how you deserve respect and small little tips like that is not
Mhm.
overwhelming. It's not asking you to do anything too dramatic, but it is taking a step in the right direction.
That's amazing. Okay, so we just spoke about students. So now it's got my gears thinking and shifting. Okay, so let's talk about students for just a quick minute, or like maybe a few. We'll find out. We'll see where this takes us. But I know that you emphasize making lessons more engaging by making them relevant, which I love. Real, relevant, rigorous. It's what we're all about here, and incorporating those real world connections. And I know you've mentioned things like student internships. So tell me a little bit more. How can teachers integrate that approach, which seems amazing? But again, we don't want them to feel overwhelmed. Want it super doable.
Ugh, so doable. We actually have 2 courses in our learning hub about this because some
Of
teachers
course.
it's because it's I only say that because some teachers are like, "That's too much for me." And I'm like, "Okay, if I broke it in half, will you do this section?"
Oh, that's great.
So here's the concept, friends. I created a proprietary lesson design model where essentially students take on themed internships, all sponsored by local or national organizations to learn their content by putting the purpose before any of the learning. So that's a really fancy way of just saying that you theme your units. Like that's
Yeah.
all it is. But
Okay.
you're theming your units in a way that directly correlates to some brand or logo that uses that job.
Ooh.
So, for example, my 6th grade math students took on 25 different internships. They were anywhere from actually one, they were unemployed. That was a really fun one. Um, to working at a
Happens.
pizza company, to working at an architecture firm, to being an intern in a law office. And
Oh my
all
gosh.
these ideas came from the state standards that we were required to teach. And most of them, to be honest, came from word problems that I was required to give my students.
Yep.
But we just themed the whole unit that way. Most of us, especially in the math setting, wait until the end of the unit to start talking about word problems, which actually show the world's view of
Right.
this problem.
Oh yeah.
Essentially, with this model, we're putting it in the beginning and talking about the fact that, okay, you've just taken on this internship. They usually get some sort of contract they have to sign or certificate they get or business cards.
Yeah.
And then they're immersed in that job. So when you have to mop, that is really relevant for area. When you have to serve customers and the cashier's down, you got to calculate a bill. It's all that
Oh my
kind of
gosh.
stuff. But it's so fun because then local business organizations can become advocates for your student success.
That's so incredible. And, our students are constantly asking us, when am I ever going to need this? And so just like thinking about that and having a thematic unit where they're literally taking on a role that uses that math, that's going to just nip that in the bud and just release so much tension from teachers who are like constantly getting that question asked to them.
Well, and the reality is that I think teachers feel, and I feel this way. So I'm not like even putting words in anyone else's mouth. I feel that I'm supposed to know everything. Like as an
Mm,
educator, I'm like, I should know the answer to anything that's gonna be asked in my classroom. And the reality is that there's so many fields out there that I don't know anything about. So what I
mhm.
really like is that this offers opportunity for business employees in 1,000 different ways, but for them to just come into our classroom and be themselves. I'm not asking for
Yeah.
money. I'm not asking for them to volunteer in any sort of way, but can you share how you use this skill because apparently you use it? And can you teach me so I can be better for the students as we go through this journey? So that can be anywhere from like, of course, people coming into the classroom, but for me, I was a middle school math teacher. I taught 8 periods a whole day unless
Uh-huh.
somebody, yeah, like they're not going to come in for 5 minutes every hour on the hour. Like it's not happening. So we would do like short little shout out videos, like send me a 15-minute TikTok, like tell me something
Yeah.
that I can share to the kids so that they can become advocates to students learning the information too. It's so stinking fun. I love it.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. And you're right. With technology, it is so much easier to bring people into the classroom and to get that real connection. And I love the idea of connecting it to your local community, right? Like I live in a community that is super supportive. Like our high school football team just did amazing. And so like every business, every single person was like hyping up Howell and just loving it. And we've got a great community. Finding more ways for them to come in and connect to the students not only makes their like relationship to the school stronger, but it makes my students more strongly invested in their community, and then they're going to go out there and become better citizens of that community. And
Absolutely.
it's a math class, but I want them to go be better citizens, and what a great way to do that.
So the two last things that are essential in this step, which I know can seem overwhelming, but is huge for our students long term, is first how you're going to transfer that ownership at the end of the unit.
Mm,
So is there like takeaways you've learned from this unit that was not content related? Like for example, if you worked at a pizza restaurant, did you enjoy customer service? Did you enjoy working with food? Did you enjoy
ooh,
insert anything here? And can we start to identify things that our students enjoy so that they can identify later on what type of field they may want to enter into after our classroom, after their time at our school? If I really love customer service, but like, ew, I was grossed out having to clean up after people and their gross pizza plates. It's like, okay, that's okay. So you're not
right.
going to work in the food industry, but guess what? Customer service is everywhere. And
Yes.
it's great. So I really loved that. And then the other thing we did is that at the end of every unit, every student got a business card of the business that was sponsoring the unit. So they left
That's
with
so cool.
25 business cards that are warm leads for them to get future jobs and internships in their, high school and college career. And we've actually
Yeah.
seen that happen. So it's so fun to be able to celebrate those kiddos.
Right. That's so awesome. So this sounds like really like a teacher's dream come true, like having your kids invested and they're excited and they've got this real world connection. But for a teacher who's more used to like a traditional lesson planning and they're real excited about what we just said, and then they've got like the deer in headlights, like I don't even know where to start. What is like one easy thing that they could do to make their learning more real world focused?
The only thing, if you want to do one thing, teeny, teeny, tiny, is flip the way that you're teaching for the first day of your unit. So, what
Mm,
I mean by that is grab the hardest word problem, grab the word
yeah.
problem that is somewhere on your final assessment or somewhere that's connected to your state standards, bring it into your classroom on the first day and just use it as a conversation starter. Don't solve it, create a list of questions you have, learn about whatever situation they're in. Maybe the person that is in this word problem is gardening or making friendships or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Have that be the conversation. And if nothing else is different the rest of your unit, you've made great connections for them.
That's incredible. And such a simple thing. We all have some sort of curriculum, whether we've created it or we've been given a textbook. Go in, find it. It's not going to take, any longer, and it'll give you that good spark to keep coming back to throughout the lesson. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
obviously there's like a million other things you could do, but to me that
Sure.
is something that's like zero prep. Zero prep.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about what we can do to help the students who are in the classroom, like get that spark, engage in that lesson. But let's talk about the classroom itself right now. I know things like flexible seating are still kind of like this hot topic going on, and that there's a lot of different misconceptions with that. What do you think is the biggest myth about flexible seating, and what do you think an actual like effective classroom setup really does look like?
Oh my gosh. Okay, wait. Did you see the TikTok we put out about that?
No, oh my gosh, now I have to go see.
Okay, the only reason I ask is because okay, we did just release a flexible seating course, which is but we put out content first to like see what people thought, like on
Yeah,
TikTok.
yeah.
And people were up in arms about flexible seating on TikTok.
Oh my gosh.
And it's funny because it actually addresses exactly what you just asked, which is like, what's the biggest misconception?
Yeah.
I would say the biggest misconception of flexible seating is just because you've tried it before doesn't mean that it doesn't work.
Yes.
Flexible seating is now like 2025 completely research supported. Like when I
Mhm.
tried it 15 years ago, it was just some stupid thing and we were trying to see and there was like puzzle piecing ideas together and all these
Oh, yeah.
educators like trying to get sofas in their classroom, right? I get it.
Yep.
Um, it is completely research backed. Like there is no question if flexible seating works for students. It does work for students,
Yes.
no doubt, K-12 and even higher ed. However, if you've implemented it incorrectly, where you don't have the support, or you don't have the right furniture, or you don't have the right tools, or you're only focused on like the aesthetic, then yes, it might create a ton
Mm.
of chaos, and then therefore you will not use it. So I would say that one of the biggest misconceptions is that it's not effective because it's just that's frankly not true. And it usually is a teacher trying to implement something who doesn't have the support to implement it correctly, which we
Mm.
know that exists in like every single PD. That's an opportunity for you to get an idea, implement it, have it not go well. A huge part of learning is that feedback, that follow up, that opportunity to get more brainstorming to problem solve. The same as with flexible seating.
Yeah, absolutely. This is reminding me, my youngest child, he's 9, Lincoln, he's great. And he in first grade, Miss Jillick Wolf, shout out to Miss Jillick Wolf. We love her. She has flexible seating all throughout her room. And I'm like, girl, these are first graders. They are like highly rambunctious. How are you going to get them to effectively sit in all these different spaces? And she had this cute little like dining room table and then these other like comfy things, and I was like, "Okay, we're gonna see how this goes." Like, I love flexible seating, but I'm in the high school and I can be like, "If you can't handle this, then I'm just going." But she did it flawlessly. It was one of his favorite classes, and you're right, it can make such a positive impact on all of our students, but you've got to be willing to keep trying and to get the support and to do it right. It's not just finding that free couch on Facebook Marketplace and just plopping it in your room. There's a little bit more to it than that, but that is a good place to start.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've totally been there. I've totally gotten the couch off Facebook Marketplace and put it in my classroom. And for some kids it worked, and for some students it didn't. The thing I really love is that, and guys, by the way, our Learning Hub is a 3-day trial, so you can go in there and like steal everything in 3 days and then
Nice.
like not pay. So just go in and steal it. Seriously, steal the download. In our Teachers Deserve It Learning Hub for the flexible seating course, the download's in the third section. So like when you log in, it's the third one,
I love it.
and it literally has a chart. I think it's 2 pages long of connections between types of furniture and types of students who will best be
Ooh,
effective in that piece of furniture.
that's
So
gold.
there's like clear connections of like somebody who's frequently off task because their feet are moving are going to be good in this type of flexible seating. And so
Mm.
it's really beneficial to have the right support when you're doing something like that.
That's incredible. Everyone needs to go log in and get that right away. We are going to for sure link to this in our show notes. So don't worry, viewers, listeners, wherever you're catching this podcast from, I promise you I will have the link so you can go and steal that. But for those of us who are real excited, we're going to go get the download and we're tight on a budget. What are some practical or low cost ways that, everyone can improve their classroom environment for student focus and engagement and all of that?
Yeah, I would say the hardest part of improving any environment is knowing what you need. So it's not about pretend that getting the actual furniture isn't the problem. Like I
Mm,
love raising money for educators. I love finding money for educators. Count me in on whatever project you're working on. The hardest part is knowing what you want to get.
yeah.
And for me, the first step is doing some deep dive research on what problem you're actually trying to solve. And it could be aesthetically, you just want your classroom to have like a cooler vibe, which I've been there. I'm
Yeah.
huge in my physical environment. It could be that you have 2 or 3 students that you're trying to target and enhance their behavior. It could be that you're looking to like try something to challenge yourself. I think the
Mm.
first step to being effective in this is knowing what you're actually trying to get out of it. And then the money is secondary. The money we can get through grants, we can get it through crowdsourcing. We have a Honestly, we have an entire course on how to raise money for your classroom. I'm super sorry. I don't mean to keep mentioning these.
That's okay. Well, that's what I said. You've got this whole big smattering out there. Like anything that people are looking for, you've got a little bit of a nugget of wisdom that they can take with them. So that's why I'm like, we're just gonna bounce around. We're gonna talk about all the things.
Yes, I would not be plugging courses this hard, except you keep bringing up topics that we actually do have courses on. So I'm super sorry. But one of the biggest things is also once you know what you want, asking for it is a lot easier. So for
Yeah.
instance, if you're like, I really need a standing table because I'm going to implement this standing conference thing where I'm going to save 33% of my time and I need a desk that's high enough. The easiest thing
Goals.
to do is email out to your staff, to your community, to your parents, and be like, does
Yeah.
anyone have a desk that's this height? And you'll get it quickly. Like there are
Right.
so many opportunities out there.
Yeah. Yeah. You never know what the teacher down the hall actually has in the back of their room that they're like, this is the worst. It's just taking up space. And you're like, ah, me, I need that. Oh
And
my
how
gosh.
many like we're all hoarders. Like I
Yeah.
am. I Not in my house, but like as a teacher, I literally
Hmm.
kept like beads for like 15 years. I'm like, well, what if someday I need beads and therefore I need beads?
And then I
So
need to keep them forever.
forever. So I just feel like there's always going to be an educator somewhere that's like, oh yeah, I have that in the back of my closet or in my garage or
Yeah, like, yep, I got you.
yep.
Amazing. Okay, so I love it. We've bounced around between lots of things. So, reclaiming our time, getting rid of burnout, rethinking PD, how we're going to get PD that's effective for us. Evidently, super ton of courses that we can get to. So again, we'll be linking that. Redesigning some more real world lessons, having those thematic units, giving them those roles, and now a little bit about how to get that flexible seating going and getting that download so we know why that seating is important. For teachers who are listening, what is, we've talked about a lot of things. What is one mindset shift, I think, that we want our teachers to walk away from after all this conversation we've had?
If I was to identify a mindset shift I'd love for everyone to have, let's see. I think it would be the concept of that learning doesn't have to be like a big deal. I feel like
Mm.
I don't know how to describe it, but so many people that I'm engaging with and so many misconceptions I had as I was going through just learning as a human being was like I needed to be in a class or I needed to go to a conference or I needed to
Mm.
like sign up to attend this thing or
Yeah, it doesn't have to be difficult.
it doesn't like literally this podcast you're listening to, like you deserve a high five. This is PD. This is such good
Yeah.
learning. You are working so hard on yourself. And even though this podcast might just feel like a break because like Kristen is the best personality ever and you're just like loving her smiley voice, like this is learning and give yourself credit. We haven't launched it yet, but we're partnering with a company that is now going to help educators track their hours better in terms of like
Okay.
credentialing. And one of the things that we are hardcore set on is that podcasts are going to count. Like you sitting and listening
Yes.
to this podcast should be whatever 34 minutes of learning that you get credit
Yeah.
for. And just know that like that type of work is coming. So keep putting low stress on learning. Just
Mhm.
keep your ears open and you're doing a good job.
That's amazing. Yeah, it doesn't have to be something heavy. It can be a low lift, and all these micro moves that you've shared with us today can just make that tiny little impact, that 33% impact, and that actually has such a great ripple effect.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so Rae, where can listeners connect with you and learn more about Teachers Deserve It outside of just my show notes here?
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to have you guys connect with myself, our team, kind of everybody in the Teachers Deserve It movement, changing the way that education is working by being more efficient and effective. You can head over to teachersdeserveit.com and get links to everything. All those courses are in the Learning Hub. We also have a super active blog and a podcast that releases one episode a week on Wednesdays. And obviously, we're huge fans of so many podcasts. So, Kristen, I really appreciate you just having me on to talk shop. You're awesome.
Yeah. Oh, well, I love this. I love having you on. So, guys, now you know Tuesdays you can hear from me. Wednesdays you can hear from Rae, and Teachers Deserve It. I was so excited to see that you like springboarded and launched this new project. And I know that my listeners are going to be excited to tune in and listen and learn more for you. I think we maybe have a little sweeten the deal that we can give them with the Learning Hub.
Yes. Okay. So we do have a discount code that you can use. This will get you $5 off every single month for 12 months. That
Perfect.
really adds up. So don't spend that on your classroom, guys. You have to go use it for yourself. Like go buy yourself a coffee,
Yes.
go buy that shirt you really wanted from Target,
Oh, yes.
but use that code and that will save you $5 a month. So you get unlimited access in our all access membership over in the Learning Hub. What's the code? Is it podcast fan? I think it is.
Yes.
Nice. Okay.
You
Podcast
got
fan,
it.
capital P, capital F. If you have any issues, just email Kristen or email me and we'll get you in. We'll get you in.
Awesome. All right, you guys. So podcast fan, capital P, capital F. That's gonna get you $5 off your monthly access to the Learning Hub. So gosh, this has just been awesome, Rae. I'm so glad that you were able to come on and share your wisdom, your strategies, these micro moves with us. Everybody, if you love this episode, be sure to check out Rae's work at teachersdeserveit.com and follow her on social media at Rae Hughart. It's already, if you're on here on YouTube, you can see it right there, right under her name. Thank you again so much, Rae. It's been just a delight having you here.
No, it was such a fun conversation. I can't wait to continue to be a listener and a fan of what you guys do.
Amazing. All right, you guys. Well, hey, thanks so much for tuning in today. Make sure you guys keep setting those boundaries. Keep avoiding that burnout. Keep making those little changes that are going to protect your time and make a huge impact. And as always, you guys, keep it real.